Hello. Oh, you know what helps? Microphone. Welcome back to Death Before Booze. I'm Sam.
I'm Jen.
Hey, Jen. And
Hi, Sam.
oh, yay! And today we're starting our road trip. You should start playing music. That 500 and I would walk 500 miles and I would walk. Or like, what's her name? Melissa McCarthy, where she's like, my milkshake brings all the boys in the yard, and they're like, you hear all that with her and Jason Bateman, and she's like doing her thing in the front seat. That would be me, and you'd be driving, going, please stop. Please stop.
It's fine.
Please stop.
I think we would switch. Be like, you drive and I can dance in this.
Oh my God, no. I'm so obsessed right now with the Great Gatsby musical. So they just, as we're recording this, it's the 2nd. So this comes out next week. So last week, the Great Gatsby just released their original cast recording. And Jeremy Jordan plays Jay Gatsby. And I'm out of my little mind because I love him. And he's like, he's a good looking guy, but he's not like, oh my God, swoon looking, at least not to me. But the second he opens his fucking mouth, I'm like, damn, dog. Like, so I that doesn't really matter here or there. But for my road trip, I would definitely be playing some of that. That would be part of my driving time. Be like, nope, that's coming on.
It's a mix. You have to have a good road trip mix if you're going for a while. And we're going for a while because we got 2 months that we're taking this.
Oh, yeah. We're doing a full trip across the U.S. So today we're starting in the Northeast. And then we move, obviously, to the Southeast. And then the middle something. And then
Midwest.
the Midwest. And then is it just like the South, I think? And then it's the Pacific, Northwest, and the Southwest. Did I get it? I think I got it. If I didn't, you'll find out as we go.
We're fine.
I mean, it's great. It's great. We'll probably get lost. I definitely want to see the big ball of yarn, the OK Corral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
If we don't stop at least 7 of those weird roadside attractions that cost like, $10 for nothing. Like, they're like, oh,
for nothing.
It's the biggest toilet in the world just to walk up and see like a piece of shit in the middle of like a fucking parking lot. Then was it really a road trip? No. So that's what we're doing.
That's fair.
I thought so. And today we're starting in the Northeast because we're both from Connecticut. So It just seems like this should be our branching point. Before we hop into it.
You go first.
Oh, I go first. Okay. Were there any other announcements I was supposed to make? Because I think we're okay. I feel like last week we had like so many announcements because like YouTube came on and, it was World UFO Day. So yes, we're doing our road trip. We're super excited about this. You can see this on YouTube. I did my hair today. So like I look like a human. It's amazing. Also, the YouTubes don't always get as edited as the podcast version, just the audio version, because we're not exactly video editors yet. It will get better. But if you want to see all the bloopers and the dumb shit that I do, fucking go to YouTube. Not while you're driving. Listen here, and then when you go home and you're falling asleep, watch it on YouTube.
You can watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, how to help us. Thanks. What do you say now? Like, review, and subscribe? Yeah, click the bell so you know. Click the bell so you know. Oh my God. We're insufferable. Okay, but I go first.
Yay!
And I'm covering a lighthouse today. Very, very Northeast New England, if you ask me. And this is the lighthouse on Execution Rocks.
What a name. I'm intrigued.
I'm so excited. Okay. So the lighthouse, I kind of jump all over because there's a lot of lore, there's a lot of history, and we kind of have to go all over the place with this one. So the lighthouse was built in 1849, but it wasn't lit until 1859. In 1847, when construction started and the U.S. government's like, yeah, bitch, we definitely need a lighthouse over here, it was $25,000, which today would only be, and I'm saying only because it blew my mind, $831,644.33. That seems like a bargain. That's like, I had a coupon for Michael's, Or the Home Depot gave me like a discount because I bought all my bricks at one time, and this is how we did this. Yes, definitely. So Execution Rocks and the Lighthouse are located in the middle of Long Island Sound, which isn't, but like not where we are. So it's between New Rochelle and Sands Point, New York. So we can't see it from like our. So where, not that I'm trying to locate ourselves or whatever that's called, triangulate ourselves, but where I am, I'm more in the shore part of Connecticut. So we are on like the Long Island Sound, but it's a completely different part. Like you can't see this from where we are. The lighthouse stands 55 feet tall, and a white light flashes every 10 seconds. Okay, so why would anyone name a reef and rocks Execution Rocks? Great question.
Execution Rocks.
Yeah, I know. It's a little ominous, isn't it? So the first story, or the first lore, is that slaves and criminals were executed there. Okay, and the British had named these rocks Executioner's Rocks on all of their charts and maps, like back in the day before the revolution, you know, when we were still just a colony and not the whole nine. But a worse story is that, I mean, it's in the same vein, but it's a lot worse. So the British wanted to avoid public execution during the colonial times because there was already turmoil between the colonists and Britain. So they were like, all right, if people piss us off, we have to like execute them. Like, heaven forbid we like, you know, work it out and use our words. We have to do something and make an example of them. But we can't like chop their head off in the middle of the square because then they'll revolt on us, which is what we're trying not to do. So what they would do is they would take the condemned to this collection of rocks at low tide. So low tide is usually in our area, you know, midnight, between 10 and 1, depending on the time of year, I think. Like, but it's at night. So at the lowest tide, they'd get in their little boat and they'd take the condemned and they'd chain them to rings that were embedded in the rocks and then just leave them there. Cute. So the victims drowned slowly as high tide rolled in. That is a 12-hour period.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So fun. So fun.
It's very creative. It's a very creative way.
Yeah. I mean, I it's definitely torturous. I mean, does something for you. Some say that skeletons of the previously executed were left around to torture the minds of the newly condemned as they awaited the same fate. People on the shorelines claimed to be able to hear the victims calling for help as they slowly drowned or died of hypothermia.
That's wonderful.
Oh my God. I have to say that we're kind of creative. Like, that's different. I mean,
it's definitely, it's better than hanging.
I mean, this one kind of is,
it's different.
It's different. It's kind of up there with the, like, the Chinese, is it? Or some Asian culture where they used to do the bamboo. And it would like grow through you because bamboo takes a hot second to grow, but once it's like going, it takes like 2 or 3 days and it would spear you to death and you would just bleed out or get infections. Like,
yep.
Ew. But it's definitely creative. So the kind of good thing of all this is that apparently the ghosts of the victims had their revenge because a shipload of British soldiers during the war, the Revolutionary War, right? Yes, the Revolutionary War. Look at me using my history degree. So the British soldiers are on a boat and they are pursuing Washington on his retreat from Manhattan to White Plains. But they crashed into the rocks. Like, they crashed into Executioner Rocks and none of them survived. So, like, nobody swam to the rocks, nobody made it to the rocks, nobody made it to shore. They all drowned. And it said that the ghosts held them down so they would suffer the same fate. So that was a bit of poetic justice, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. That was a good one. So then again, in 1849, the lighthouse was erected on the rocks because ships kept hitting the reef. And, you know, some sank, some were just damaged, but it just caused an issue. You know, like, they had to do something about it. So the first keeper moved in April 1st in 1851. And the last time that this lighthouse was manned was December 5th in 1979. So it was just more cost effective to make the lighthouse automatic. Like, throw some batteries in there instead of paying somebody to be on this little rock and like.
Well, I mean, have you seen the Lighthouse movie with Robert Pattinson? Like,
excuse me, there's a movie?
Lonely. Yes, and it's kind of like a thriller. There's two guys who are running the lighthouse, and they go fucking insane because it's lonely out there when your job is to fucking just stand there and sit there for months. I would say.
And okay, wait, I'm gonna get to it. I'm totally gonna get to it. So hold that thought. I'm almost there. So now, like today, the lighthouse runs off of solar power. So basically, it's constantly going. The light flicks on at dusk, but it's always rotating. It's always doing its thing. So now this particular lighthouse has a unique contract for its light keepers. Literally, due to the supernatural and paranormal activity that happens on this island, a light keeper can keep their position at will. So normally, a contract for a lighthouse keeper with, the Coast Guard or whatever is a 12-month time period. You have 12 months, you're there, you fucking deal with it. When your 12 months are up, either you can renew or you can transfer. Here, there is no required time. The keeper can decide that they no longer want to reside at this lighthouse and want to transfer, and it is granted immediately. There were no questions asked. So it seemed that the lighthouse was manned. I'm saying this wrong. So, okay, the longest keeper, basically, to be at this lighthouse continuously was 10 years. So, like, one dude was there for, like, a whole decade. The shortest stint at this lighthouse was one night. And it was only because there was a storm, and he could not get in touch with shore to come get him sooner. Like, he would have been gone in a couple of hours, but...
Dude, you can't... that's the whole point of a lighthouse, to be there in the storm. Like, he couldn't... Dude, that's your job.
That's, like, literal... Like, you have one job. Make sure the light stays on, and...
In a storm.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be like, peace out. I don't
I'm good. I heard a knock. I'm fucking done. I'm done. You can't do that. No. So, that's a lot of stuff I've given you. Fucking people dying on the rocks. The British are all fucking drowning. There's so much supernatural and, bullshit going on that you can just be like, fuck it, I want to go home now. And you can just go whenever. But it gets worse. Hold on. If you call in the next 30 seconds, it will get worse, okay? So, there was this dude. His name's Carl Panzram. He was born June 28th of 1891 in Minnesota. He was a thief, a rapist, and a serial killer. A very prolific rapist and serial killer, might I add.
Wow.
So,
all the boxes.
Oh, yeah. Panzram himself said that he was, quote-unquote, rage personified, and that he would often rape men whom he had robbed. Like, he's a fucking peach. I can't wait. He's so fun. So fun. So, we're going to jump ahead a little bit. It's the 20s. And he decides to rob 113 Whitney Ave in New Haven, Connecticut. Like, a couple towns over. Yeah, we all know it. New Haven, they got pizza and shit. He makes off with a ton of expensive jewelry and valuable bonds. So, like, bonds were big in the 20s. We're getting ready for the crash. There's all these things. Bah. As Carl is leaving the residence, he notices the names on the stolen bonds. William H. Taft, former president of the United States. Like, he just picked this fucking house because it was big and, like, people looked rich. And he went, wow, that'll do. And it's the fucking president. And you know what? He was actually... I don't remember what prison he was in prior to this because he had been released. Like, this guy was a piece of shit. And I'm really only giving you a snapshot of his terrible life. But... Taft actually kept him in prison, like extended his sentence, like 5-10 years.
For robbing me.
And no, this was this was after. Yeah, so he but he didn't realize that he was robbing Taft's house. It was just...
He's like, to be fair, President, I would have never...
To be fair, though, I didn't know it was your house, but to be quite honest, I'm so happy I robbed it. Like, I got all your shit, and you are an asshole. Like, he fucking ran. He's like, oh, fuck. But that's what happened there. So, after Panzram left the residence, He, his name was stolen bonds, blah, blah, blah. It didn't stop him. He sold them for top dollar and continued on his spree. So he used the money from all of Taft's goods that he stole to buy himself a yacht, and he called it the Akista, Akista, Akista. And for 3 months, he, just shits and gigs, Panzram lured sailors away from port bars onto his yacht. He'd make them drunk, he'd rape them, and then he would murder them with a .45 Colt pistol. Oh, he also stole that from Taft's house. So he's killing people with the president's gun. Not that ballistics was a thing, but, just for good measure.
He had a thing for, like, the sirens. Like, this was, like, his thing, where he would just, like, sing a song, and everyone would come to him.
Oh, my God. Well, the best is he would take the bodies to Executioner's Rocks. He would tie large boulders to the body, row out into the Long Island Sound, probably about 100 yards or so from the lighthouse, and drop the men in the Sound. And that was, like, his stomping grounds for, like...
That's so much work.
3 fucking months he did this. My thing is, apparently, he did this, in one, I saw he did this to at least 10 men. And in other instances, I saw he's done this to at least 20 men. So, that's a pretty wide range. That is a lot of work. And at this time, there was someone manning that lighthouse. How the fuck did he get away with this? Like, you didn't see, like...
Look out the window.
There's literally 2 of you on this island at any given time because, the lighthouse and you need a buddy and we can't do it alone. Nobody saw this fucking serial murder rapist, like, dropping bodies in the Sound? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you have, like, 2 jobs. Keep the light on, keep the peace, and, hello? Okay. So, all right. A decade later, after this, like, 3 to 5 month period, Panzram is finally caught. He's hanged on September 5th in 1930. But he's not just, he is just hanged. But... when he's asked for any last words, he says, yeah, hurry it up, you Hoosier bastard. I could kill a dozen men while you're screwing around. And then he spit at, like, the police officer getting ready to, like, drop him through the thing.
I would kick him harder.
I wouldn't even pull the thing. I would just kick him off. Like, just push him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be like, oops, you fell. Oops. Oh, my God. So... he wrote an autobiography while he was in jail waiting to be hanged.
Of course.
Of course.
Everybody does.
It's titled Killer, A Journal of a Murder. Okay, and then, like, the biggest quote from this, in my life, I have murdered 21 human beings. That's probably a lie. I have committed thousands of burglaries, robberies, larcens, and arsons. That's probably true. For all these things, I am not in the least bit sorry.
You know what?
Fuck it.
He's like...
fuck it. He went big. I mean, go big or go home. Motherfucker went big. Okay, so let's get back to the lighthouse now that we're done with Panzram, whatever the fuck his name is. With everything that has happened on this small island, it's obvious that it's a pretty haunted place at this point. People boating in the area have said they've heard screams and yelling coming from the island, specifically the rocks. They've even heard the clinking of chains on the rocks, like people are trying to free themselves. When you're in the lighthouse, ghosts have felt cold spots. They've gotten goose pimples. They hear unusual sounds, footsteps. What are those? Oh my God, disembodied voices. I have it written down and I can't read the word. And few have even seen apparitions. As a result of these sightings, in 2009, the lighthouse was featured on our favorite Travel Channel show,
Zach Baggins,
The Ghost Adventures. Dun, dun, dun. And this episode, this is actually honestly one of my favorites because it's pretty early. I think it's in like season 2 or season 3. So they're still pretty kitsch about it. Like, they still do like the jokes and they're like behind the scenes stuff. Like, this is what this is and this is how this works. And here's Aaron getting suntan lotion in his eyeballs and he can't see and now he's trying to film. And at one point, Zach is like, if we don't put mittens on him, he hurts himself. Like, this is what I mean when I say it's like the kitsch funny version, like before they like take themselves too seriously.
Before I'm Zach Baggins.
I'm Zach Baggins. Yes, exactly. So they do their walkthrough and they start up in the attic and they all decide there's like some weird vibe. I don't know how you record a weird vibe, but they recorded a weird vibe. Then one person they were interviewing, he worked for the Coast Guard and had worked at this lighthouse. His name was Dave. Hi, Dave. Dave said that he would be on his 24 hours. So usually, you know, they're there for 24 hours. I think they usually had 2 or 3 people. So it's like 24 to 48 hours and somebody would be there for 24. But like one would have the day shift, one would have the night shift, and then somebody would switch in and shit like that.
Okay.
It's like a rotating thing. Okay, so Dave said he'd be on his 24 and he would sit on the couch and watch TV because as long as the light doesn't shut off, you guys are good. And he would feel an unseen force or someone who would come up, lean his, specifically a male energy, lean his full weight on this guy's shoulders and chest, and he could not get up sometimes for up to a minute. He thinks it's one of the old soldiers, like the British soldiers who, you know, probably died during either, you know, trying to chain somebody and fell in, or who was part of the you know, the boat incident, you know, one or the other.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
And
it's like a push.
Yeah, and it was, this isn't something that only happened once. Like, this happened monthly, at least. It could happen weekly sometimes to him specifically. So then there's Zach and a historian who he was interviewing about the rocks and everything else. And they were really talking about Pazaram. So they speculated that Pazaram dumped his victims at Executioner's Rocks to be closer to the atrocities that happened during the Revolutionary War. So, like, they were like, he must have studied. I mean, you also gotta remember the 20s. Like, back in the 20s, you found a topic and you researched it. Like, it didn't matter what else you did. Like, if you were into the Civil War, you knew everything about the Civil War. If you wanted to study the Revolution, like, you picked a topic, an event. This is more male specific than female specific because, you know, we've had to, like, cook and clean and rear children. But,
I mean,
like,
listen, women had a job.
I mean, yeah, but men had to, like, pick an event in time and learn every single detail that they possibly could, and then they tried to, like, outdick each other that way. I'm sorry, they would. So
I like it though.
They speculated that Pazaram kind of was into the Revolutionary War, specifically in New York, for whatever reason. That's what he picked. And he would drop people here because, you know, he wanted to feel closer to what the British did and wanted to fuck with people more.
I mean, that checks.
It's not a horrible theory. I mean, I kind of get it. I really like it. I mean, I haven't read his autobiography because, you know, I have a life. But maybe there's some more in there that I don't know about that they do. It could happen. I don't know everything. I didn't learn everything about the Revolutionary War, and I actually fucking studied it. Okay. So, now we're at our lockdown. Actually, they go fishing for a hot second, and then they cook dinner, and then they get into their lockdown. This is what I mean. Like, there was more bullshit than there was like actual lockdown and like research for this episode, so it was kind of fun. So they start with the video goggles, which is kind of like a mix of the paranormal puck and a video camera. Like, you know, it uses the environment or whatever, what have you around you, and it spouts out words. So they don't really use these anymore. Better technology has come out, but for season 3, this was pretty fucking cool. Like, I was like, ooh. Like, think of them like spy glasses. Like, you know, where they have, like, the little camera in the glasses so you can see. So there's a camera that's hooked into the glasses so you can see what the camera is seeing. But there's also, like, what we now call the paranormal puck kind of attached to it, too. So it has a word database, and it picks up words. So either spirits can manipulate it or, like, you know, the environment kind of makes it do it. It's obviously not foolproof. Let's be real here. But they get the words remote and camera. So remote, he's like, oh, you know, we're on a remote island in the middle of the Long Island Sound, and oh my god, I'm carrying a camera, like that kind of thing. Then they start moving upstairs, and there's this huge bang, and I'm gonna tell you, like, I've seen this episode a million times. and it banged and I jumped. I was like, ooh, I forgot that was coming. You know, like when the clapping hands come out in The Conjuring. Yeah, like that. So Zach and Nick keep saying that they felt the bang. Like, you know, it was obviously a bang. It was a bang on something metal, so they were going with somebody whacked the staircase that they were on, and they felt it. Makes sense. Then there's an audible disembodied voice that comes out. Now, where they are in the lightkeeper's house, it's attached to, like, the actual lighthouse. It's kind of deteriorating. It's basically decrepit, so there's, like, holes in the walls. So the first, I think it's an audible voice. Like, if you ask me, it's actually somebody whispering. But, you know, they're like, we can't confirm or deny because, you know, there's this huge hole in the wall, so it could be the waves crashing on the rocks, which... Okay, I'm pretty proud of them for debunking, because later on they'd be like, oh my god, it said fuck you, and it really didn't. But directly after that, there is a definitive, it is a definite growl that you hear. There's no way it's a wave. You hear it, and it's coming up at them. Like, you can almost tell, like, you know, sometimes, like, with audio, it's like, you can tell if it's from the right or the left. Like, you can, like, listening, you're like, oh, fuck, they're gonna get fucked up. Then they have a huge spike in the EMF. Aaron says he gets goosebumps. You hear crackling in the mic. And then the word database goes drink and mercury. And I'm going to rag on Zach Bagel Bites for just another, 20 minutes. But he keeps saying mercury. It's mercury, dude. Mercury. That's how you fucking say it. Mercury. It's not mercury. Like, fuck. You are, like, an intelligent human being. Can you prove it? Thank you. So now, because they see this drink in mercury, Nick starts going off that he says that he feels something going through his body. And Aaron and Zach start coming up with this story. And the story that they come up with, that they're literally, in all of their interviews and all of their research, nothing even remotely close to this has ever come up. They come up with this idea that a lighthouse keeper died in the, like, lightkeeper's house, because there is a huge thing, like a huge canister on the wall that says mercury poison, and underneath it, like, through all the, you know how, like, in lighthouses the steps are kind of grated, like there's holes in the steps, but it's all metal, so, like, they're solid, but, you know, because there's so much moisture, they probably don't want the moisture to build up and you slip down the stairs, like, so they're like, okay, so the mercury's up here. Well, the mercury is up here. Okay, what if this canister of mercury, mercury, what if there was a hole in the canister and it flew down the stairs and into their drinking potable water? So now the lighthouse keeper drank the water and died of mercury poisoning. And I'm sitting there going, you motherfucker, they never said that a lighthouse keeper died on the property. They're like, and I'll tell you, I haven't read everything, but I read a shit ton about this fucking lighthouse. I didn't see anything about the death of a lighthouse keeper on the property. I mean, they died, but not on the property, and not of mercury poisoning. So they just came up with this huge fucking story. It couldn't just be like, hey, I'm a lightkeeper, and I need to prove to you that I'm, like, here and looking at you. I can see mercury. Like, hello? Obviously, this is the Zach and Aaron era, and they are on this trip of somebody died from mercury poisoning, and they were obviously a lightkeeper, and they just have this new revelation of somebody who died. So then, after the whole mercury incident that, like, obviously gets me fired up, they start taking infrared still pics. And Zach says something to the effect of, if you're that serial killer here, you should show yourself. You know what? I bet you'll break my camera if you do. Well, his camera promptly stops working. And after, like, fucking with it for a few minutes, it turns back on. But he's like, yeah, isn't that what he said? I said he was going to fuck up my camera. Like, really? I bet he didn't hit the button. Like, that's where I was at. There was no evidence found in the static pictures. They move outside, and as Aaron is setting up a camera, him and Zach both hear crying from the rocks. That is also not caught on camera, but they both like, it sounded like that. So that is our friends from Ghost Adventures. I did try and get like more visitor stories. However, it's not an open lighthouse, so like it's not a tourist attraction. Like we can't go there.
Okay.
There is like a specific week in the summer every year where they open and they do tours, but a lot of times like you have to be fully masked because of all the lead in the paint and everything's decrepit.
Oh yeah.
So it's not.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, so even if you are there, you're kind of like, wait, did I hear something, or is that the rustling of my mask, or is that something here? So there's not a lot of information of like individual accounts. If you find something more that I didn't find, or you've been there, please email us. Let me know. Tell me on Insta. I want to know everything because this place seems awesome and I really want to go there.
Yeah.
And that's Execution Rocks Point.
Does the light still work?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it still functioning? Oh, because
it's solar powered. Yep.
It still function.
Yep. It's solar
But
powered
does
and
nobody have
automatic.
to maintain it?
I mean, the Coast Guard maintains it in their way, but
they don't have to go.
No, they don't have to be there. They really don't have to do anything other than, you know, some light maintenance. Make sure the batteries are kept up. Make sure the bulb is okay. Shit like that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I thought so.
I like lighthouses. They have this creepy, like, haunted aura to them.
They're also
so
kind of romantic in a sense. Like,
yeah.
There's always somebody pining away, and that's why they became the lighthouse human, because they were like...
Right.
It reminds me, remember that movie, Pete's Dragon?
Yeah.
Oh my God, where the chick and her dad run the lighthouse, and she, like, stands up there every night looking for, like, her ex-boyfriend who, like, whacked his head and forgot about her, and then, like, remembers at the end and comes back and, like, saves the day with the dragon. Like, oh, Disney. Disney and Zach Bagans, that's all we talk about here.
Immediately when you went with the lighthouse, that lighthouse movie with Robert Pattinson is so eerie that when you were like, they take shit. Well, that's the reason why people don't want to do it, because you're stuck there for a certain amount of time and it's lonely. You only have two people.
Yeah.
You literally only have two people there. So you have to be besties. And if you're not, well, then there's no one else to talk to.
Another, like, amazing lighthouse is the Point Sur Lighthouse in California. I mean, Ghost Adventures has also been there, but that place, fucked. That place is so haunted, and it's haunted by multiple families from, like, different times.
Interesting.
And they are, like, there's a lot of apparitions. There's a lot of, what are the ones that just kind of happen? Like, they're not intelligent. They're just, like, I forget. But I'm having a moment. But they're also very intelligent spirits there who will, like, have full-on conversations about you with each other. And it's caught on, like, EVPs and on cameras. Yeah.
I mean, it's fair. You're standing right in front of them.
Yeah, they're like, check out this motherfucker. Like, what the fuck is he? Like, they play pranks on you and stuff. Like, they'll throw things. It's like there's serious poltergeist activity. Like, it's legit there. Maybe I'll cover that one when we get to, like, the south. I'm sorry, the west. Southwest? I don't fucking know. It's over there somewhere.
It's over there somewhere. This is just the first day of our road trip.
Yeah, I gotta slow down. So. All right, your turn. Tell me a story.
Okay. So, I am doing one of the most famous cryptids in Connecticut.
Oh my goodness.
Known as the Melon Heads.
Oh, Melon Heads. I've heard of them.
So, the Melon Heads are creatures that are said to be on the outskirts of heavily wooded areas on country roads in Connecticut, Ohio, and Michigan. That's part of the reason why at the beginning I didn't necessarily know if I wanted to cover them for Connecticut, because they also had Ohio and Michigan. They're most widely heard about in Connecticut. Like, I actually put a picture up where it's really neat. I think it's an Etsy poster that somebody created. Aww. Where it has the entire United States and each state has their cryptid.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that. I think I bought that for Chris one time.
I love it, and I kind of want one for my room.
Oh my God, yeah, let's get it.
But the Melon Heads is Connecticut, so I said, you know what? Let's just go with it. So before we talk about Connecticut, we have to talk about where they could have originated from. So in the mid-19th century in Bavaria, Germany, supposedly a large family of Melon Heads were here. And around 1990s, like the 1900s, around the 1900s, just outside Risbury, England, an inbred family of melon heads known as the Weeble Heads.
That was their name, or that was like a nickname for them?
They called them the Weeble Heads.
Oh my god, this is like, I'm getting, what was that, Duncanville? What was that place? Donnerville? You covered it in like the first episode.
Oh, Dudleyville.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm getting like Dudleyville vibes. Like, they came here and were like, all right, get off my fucking lawn.
Get off, right. Well, it's not like it's kind of weird because they said they might have originated from there, but it's not clear how they got to the United States. But I just liked Weeble Heads. I thought that was pretty
Oh my god,
funny.
Weeble Heads. I love that.
It's unclear if what was seen in Germany and England were actual encounters or anything, and if it was connected to the U.S. melon heads, but it's just kind of, they were like, hey, this family of inbred people who had huge fucking melon heads that we call the Weeble Heads happen to be there, and it's like, all right, so there's that. So depending, what I found really interesting was depending on where you are, so whether it's Ohio, Michigan, or Connecticut, the description is just a smidge different in each area. So I'm going to go through the different places before I get to Connecticut. So Michigan, it said that the melon heads began with a group of children who had a condition called hydrocephalus.
Nailed it.
Which is accumulation of cerebral spinal fluid. I'm not saying it right. I'm sorry.
It's cerebral spinal fluid. Yes. Cerebral spinal fluid.
Why did I have such a hard time with that?
I think we both just did. So it's not just
I'm
yet.
like,
that's a hard word, cerebral. I think there's like an app that's supposed to like make your brain work better with that, and it sounds like sponsor us.
But like, yeah. I'm looking at it and I'm like,
cerebral. Yeah, there's the word.
Cerebral.
Words are so fucking hard, you guys. I don't know what to do. I can't even remember them. It's so bad.
I love it. So, this particular hydrocephalus was known as the accumulation of cerebral spinal fluid in the brain, and it increases pressure in the skull, which caused their physical appearance of like kind of the misshapen skulls, and also razor sharp teeth, which
I have questions.
That had nothing to do.
I have questions. So
how did it get there?
Well, no, I can understand how it gets there. Like that part I get, like, because if you have too much in your system, which does happen, or if like let's say you whacked your head and you had like a concussion, like the fluid builds up to like act as a barrier to kind of like help you heal, but at the same time, if too much goes, then it's too much pressure on your brain. But it's all encapsulated in your skull. My skull is not going to get bigger. It is going to cause more pressure on my brain, which would then kill me. So how does it make my physical head bigger to look like a melon?
Well,
I'm ready.
That's a very good question.
I try my best.
It's because you're right. Like, it's not, your skull is bone. It's not going to expand.
Yeah.
But the idea, I guess, is that it increases the pressure and the brain expands. But you're right. That would cause death because there's nowhere. However, for the melon heads, it just causes.
It's just like not an abnormality. What is that? Like a evolution? Like because they just have so much, it just makes it bigger. Yeah. And then there's inbreeding, which I'm sure doesn't help the situation.
Oh, that's definitely getting there. But, so these kids, and this is again the Michigan melon heads, which it's very kind of similar when we get to the other ones too. But these children were abused in an insane asylum because we know how that works. Awesome. No notes. And they were released in the woods. So
wait,
that's where they stayed.
So they started in an asylum and they said, "Be free.
Let them go.
Go ahead. Fuck the funding.
Go ahead.
Just go. You're ugly. We don't want to look at you. Go."
You know, and that's where they originated. That's
you Caillou looking fuck. go off. Like, what is going on?
Oh my, it's
what the fuck?
So in Ohio, there is actually a specific doctor that created these melon heads. He was named Dr. Crow.
Oh,
He
God.
conducted cruel experiments on usually orphans in the Kirtland area in Lake County. So these are kids that nobody's missing. So he just conducts terrible experiments. He injected fluid into their brains, causing them to swell and disform, hence the big heads.
Who the fuck thinks that's a good idea? Like, what fever dream are you having that you're like, shit, if I put saline in little kids' brains, they're gonna look cool. They have the biggest brains ever. Like Pinky in the Brain. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I cannot. Is he trying to make an army?
Mega
Man! Oh my God, yes. Fuck my life. I'm sorry. I'll stop interrupting. This is just wild.
So they also had small, well, they were small. They had enlarged heads and glowing eyes.
What kind of saline was he using?
I don't know. That's the.
Did he put like firebugs in there?
It's. It could be just that people think that they're glowing because, of course, they're in the woods. But the orphans this time escaped the orphanage.
Oh, okay. Well, I would too.
They burned it to the ground.
All right. This is the story I want to hear.
And they just went into the dark woods. That's where they, live out their life. Which. Okay.
Good for them. Like the dark web.
Yeah.
Melon
Now,
heads.
when you talk about the Connecticut melon heads, the stories are similar. Their appearance, again, in all of the different states is a little bit different, but they have small, beady eyes. They are said to be small and frail humanoids. They have long, spindly appendages with claws.
Okay.
Crooked, gnarled teeth, and they're bald. Okay. And they have bulbous heads that are out of proportion with their body. Also, they are said to eat small animals, stray cats, and human flesh, usually teenagers. I don't know why it's specified in the articles I read, especially teenagers. Like, is it...
Hey, honey, do you feel like having cat, chipmunk, or teenager tonight? I mean, I gotta go shopping, but I want to know what you prefer.
It's so weird that they were specified, and teenage, especially teenager. Like, usually
if you're 10, you're okay. 13, you're fucked.
You're fucked.
Because they know.
They also have incredible strength and agility. And
how? They can barely hold their heads up. Their whole body's like...
I know. That's what I thought. They're out of proportion, but whatever.
They're just falling over, trying to keep their neck up. Like an infant. So glad we moved to YouTube, guys. So glad we moved to YouTube now.
I know. And they admit high-pitched screeching when they're agitated or threatened.
Can I tell you what just popped into my head? You know in Shrek where the guy gets scared of fucking Shrek and he's got like the Lord Farquaad head on and he's running through the fucking like he goes back and forth through the thing like
and then he falls over.
He's so big and Shrek just walks through.
Oh my god. That's, you know what?
I'm redoing the melon heads. That's what they look like.
Now, I kind of looked into it said, how did they come to be in Connecticut? Because
that's a good one. Yeah, how did they get here?
Look at Dudleytown and everything else. But it is said that melon heads may stem from Milungo, which describes a mixed race of people in Appalachia.
Ooh.
Appalachia. They have an ancestry of European outcast, freed slaves, and Native Americans who choose to keep to themselves.
That's a lot of mixing.
So, that's a lot, right? That's a lot of people. And it's, after World War II, melon heads were more widely seen in Connecticut as people were leaving the cities and moving to the suburbs, because that's what you did after the war. You decided, hey, city life's not for me.
I need fresh air.
They may have descended from families accused of witchcraft and were banished into the wilderness.
All right.
And they survived due to inbreeding, which resulted in their melon head appearance.
That seems the most plausible so far. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I'm in.
Another theory is that they're descendants of deranged mental patients from Fairfield Hills Hospital or Garner Correctional Institute.
I was just at Fairfield Hills recently.
Yeah.
Oh my God, did you see that on Instagram? Because I was there. I got a weird picture. Go look.
As Sam went and visited,
I
it was
visited.
Abandoned.
There's a brewery there now with really good beer and pizza.
Yeah.
Oh my God, let's go.
I'm excited to go. I'm excited.
I'm so excited.
Now, this place specialized in inmates with mental health problems.
Cool.
So, now both the Garner Correctional Institute and Fairfield Hills Hospital are buildings in Newtown, Connecticut.
Yep.
So, the Garner Correctional one was the one with the inmates. The other one is just for mental patients.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in 1860, Fairfield Hills burned down. The staff all perished, but several inmates' bodies were never found. So, it's suggested that the escapees chose to live off of the sides of society and just kind of do their own thing. And they survived through inbreeding and cannibalism, because we love cannibalism here.
Oh my God, let's just keep throwing. This is like a wild episode.
Yeah.
This is just covering all of our bases.
Or maybe people afflicted with encephalistic, which is the swelling of the brain.
Cool.
Where people had this particular disorder, and they decided to avoid people. They would just live isolated. That one's kind of boring compared to all the other
I like
ones.
the other one. I like the other one. Can I just mix them all together and be like, so some dudes started creating these things, and then they took over the asylum, burnt it down, ran away to the hills of Connecticut, started cannibalizing teenagers, and then just did a whole bunch of inbreeding with maybe some Indians and some like freed slaves, but they all were pagans in the end. Like, can we like make that my story? Because I really like it.
I like it all together.
It's a great amalgamation, right? I'm in. I'm writing a book.
Yes. Some people believe they're a type of demon or evil spirit that haunts the woods. Okay.
Oh, okay.
They could be a product of a curse or a spell cast by a witch or a warlock.
Okay. Love it.
Okay.
Throw that in.
And some stick with the scientific perspective. These people were a result of a genetic mutation that causes hydrocephalus, and that's the reason why their brains or their heads are misshapen and blah, blah, blah.
Can it be both?
So, everything all together.
It's
a demon who also had a curse on
Yep.
them.
The demon was cursed, but he also had hypocephalitis, or whatever the fuck it's called, with the cerebral shit. And we just put it all in a jar, shook it up, and said, let's go.
And then there it is.
Perfect. I think this is my new favorite episode we've ever done.
There were a couple of sightings.
Oh, fuck,
This was the most famous one from the 1980s. So there was a group of girls from Notre Dame High School in Fairfield. They went for a drive a Friday night after a football game because they decided they wanted to go see the Melon Heads because this was legend since then. They got into their blue Granada and they drove down Velvet Street in Trumbull. I'm going to give you all of the streets in Connecticut you can visit to find these Melon Heads if you would like.
Fuck right the fuck off. I'm writing it down. Hold on. Yep. Where's my pen? We're going to add this.
Street is one.
We're going somewhere. Got places to be. I got to go to Velvet Street. I got it. Okay. Velvet Street. Yep. Check.
Mm-hmm. I think this is the one that's also known as Dracula Street, which I thought was a really baller that they had that.
AKA
Dracula.
I
I think this is the one where it was like also known as, and I'm like, okay.
I'll be there.
So the girls went into the woods, or they got to the area. They parked the car, they left the headlights on, and they went into the woods searching for these creatures.
Yeah, you dumb.
After they walked a few hundred feet, they heard their door slam. The engine started, and it drove towards them. As it passed, because it just kept driving, they saw in the car figures that were the size of children. They had large heads. They had rags for clothes and orange glow in their eyes. And legend has it
they never got their car back.
They still drive around in this Granada. The Melon Heads just took a car. We're like,
look
I
for cars in woods. Cool.
Specifically a blue Granada, because that's the one they were driving. They took it. They were like, hey, good.
This seems like it was a really long time ago, and I bet the Melon people don't know how to do oil changes. I highly doubt this car is still working.
I don't think that this car is still working.
I think now
also,
it's a piece of shit.
It kind of amazed me that they were able to be like, all right, let's just put it in drive.
I got this.
Because this is literally the argument that we have every Halloween. Dave and I are like, we watch the movie Halloween.
Okay.
And he's like, how the fuck does Mike Myers know how to drive a car? That's similar to this. How the fuck do the Melon Heads know how to drive a car? They just put it in drive.
How hard can it really be? If you hit enough buttons, it's going to fucking do something.
And you know what? They put us through driving school, like go through the whole thing, the drug and alcohol testing. It's not that. Just put it in drive and let's
find the D and go.
It's just
just go.
Oh my God. So other people have less detailed experiences. So that was the only one that had a lot of detail because of the car. Legend has it that they still travel in that car.
I'm going to go check it out.
So some people see mysterious figures in the woods. They hear voices. There were actually people who were doing some plant life study in the wooded areas, and they saw strange figures lurking in the bushes. They attack cars with rocks in order to deter people from coming back to the land. Yeah. So
love that.
In modern culture, there was a 2018 movie called Melon Heads.
No, there's a movie? Melon Head movie.
I didn't know about that either. I was like, oh, there's a movie?
Movie day.
And they also, the creatures were also seen and kind of brought up on an episode of Supernatural, where they were a group of humans who live in the woods and hunt humans. Now, according to the Melon Head legend, they don't hunt humans. They just
steal their cars.
If teenagers are being assholes, they're going to eat them. Like, that's basically the vibe I got from them.
NBD.
So, now, if you want to find the Melon Heads in Connecticut, there are quite a few streets.
Got my pen.
So I'm going to list them. So there's Zion Hill in Milford, Connecticut.
Ooh, okay, I know where that is.
Edmonds Road in Oxford, Connecticut.
That's kind of far from Milford, isn't it? They're like all over. Okay.
It's like, they're all over.
I thought they would all be down by Newtown.
No, and they're all kind of wooded areas, like really heavily wooded. So Velvet Street in Trumbull and Monroe, because I guess it's the same area. Any of the roads surrounding Lake Mohegan in Fairfield. Now,
that's where the Puckwudgies are. Cool. By Lake Mohegan. Oh. Yeah.
So maybe they're friends.
Oh my God. Imagine if they just...
Wouldn't that be cool?
Imagine if they fuck up and Puckwudgies and Melon Heads are the same kind of thing. Well, no, because the Native Americans thought that Puckwudgies were little demon imps that would do things for them if they were nice, and when you pissed them off, they'd curse your whole land.
Swollen.
No, I think they're more kind of little circly, fairy, ugly things.
Oh.
We'll cover Puckwudgies at some point, yeah.
Jeremy Swamp Road in Southbury. So that's
Ooh.
also a little bit further up. And paths and roads around Roosevelt Forest in Stratford, Connecticut.
Okay.
So these are the major places where the activity seems to be. But again, it's not a lot of people are like, I saw something, but it could, as you had mentioned with Zach Baggins, it could easily be it's a very heavily wooded area. So it could just be whatever. It could just be animals.
Could be an owl. Could be an alien. We'll never know.
Oh my God. I mean, they look like aliens according to.
No, they look like the guy from Shrek.
The big head. Oh my God. So those are our friends, the Melon Heads in Connecticut. So yeah, take a trip to any one of these. But it has to be at night too, apparently, because they do not come out during the day. Obviously, they don't want people to see their misshapen heads. So.
Oh my God, if they learned how to drive a car, what if they learned how to steal a car that has like Bluetooth capability and still has the cell phone in it, and then they start listening to our podcast and then they come after us?
They won't come after us.
How do you know? I called them ugly Caillou fucks. They're not going to like me.
I didn't call them ugly. I said.
I did. I'm fucked. Okay. We might not be able to go visit them in the event that the Blue Granada has Bluetooth and they can hear us.
So they don't really seem like the kind of creatures that like want to cause trouble. They're kind of like, please leave me alone.
They eat teenagers.
But if you're a bratty teenager who's trying to look for problems, then I get it. It's fair. I get their problem. I
think that's the teacher in you.
I'm not saying it's right. I just get it.
I don't condone it. I just understand.
I understand working with teenagers
is
difficult.
Sometimes
they're bratty, and sometimes they do things that you think are stupid and they shouldn't be doing. So if you're gonna look for trouble, you're gonna get cannibalized. You know what? Like I'm just saying.
Sometimes you get grounded, kids. Other times you'll be eaten in the woods. I mean, it could really go either way.
I get their thought process. So.
Oh my God. What the fuck did we learn today? Because
this was a lot of stuff.
I'm shocked that we're still under an hour. There has been so much information transferred in this episode.
I will say that I learned some history of Execution Rock because that is a really interesting history of that particular lighthouse. I think that's awesome. I like lighthouse history. So
I thought it was cute. Well, not that story, but like lighthouses are cute. I learned don't keep your keys in the fucking car because someone is obviously going to steal it and then they're going to drive after you or just absolutely steal the car and you won't have one, which surprisingly does happen a lot here in Connecticut, like in general. Like a lot of people will go to pump gas and leave their keys in the car and wonder why like their car just drives away. Like, I don't know. What the fuck happened?
Yeah. But those are fun things.
Yes.
At least our first trip.
So the first leg of our road trip is done. New England has been covered. We're going to move to, I believe, the southeast next. Mm-hmm. And
the
southeast. Like
southeast.
The Florida area. But not Florida because we already covered Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We covered Florida.
I think we'll stay away from Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, I might find somewhere else to go. I don't know. So thanks so much, guys, for joining us again. I hope you learned something. Let us know in, the comments or on our social media. Make sure you go look us up on YouTube and then rate, review, subscribe, and click the bell so you know we have things coming up. Look at me go.
Yeah,
I'm getting it.
Hit that like button.
Hit that like button. And, okay, if you want to know more information about our episode today and all of our sources, go to our website, deathbeforebooze.com. From there, you can go to our Patreon where we put out new episodes every month. And we also have other little things that we put out all the time. So you will be fully entertained if you get bored of just this. There's lots of extra content for you to go devour. So get on it. We also have our merch site there, which I believe Jen has something to say about merch.
Yeah, so we're kind of doing a little bit of summer cleaning with the the merch stuff. So we're adding some new stuff, and we have a couple of exclusive limited edition cryptid designs. You need to check them out.
Is there a melon head?
So
I don't even. We're gonna find out.
No, but I need to.
Oh my god!
Need to fucking make one.
Yes, go make a melon head.
I need to make one.
Melon heads. Okay, awesome. So head on over there, get some of our merch so you can rep your favorite podcast. And otherwise, make sure you tell your friends. Make sure you rate us on iTunes and Spotify. It really helps us out. And otherwise, just let us know what you're thinking. Is there something you want us to cover? Somewhere on our road trip we should definitely stop. Let us know. Yes. deathbeforebooze@gmail.com. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Stay spooky, everybody.
Bye-bye.